the wrong stream, but thankfully I'm not. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Locked and Loaded, where we keep you locked and loaded with all the information we find out dealing with anything and everything that we find an interest in. As always, is my co-host Javis chewing up a storm. People gotta eat. So let's go ahead and get started with our sponsor from Gatorade. Javis, tell us all about Gatorade.
I know, right? I was trying to cover it with my hand, but I think we
Yeah,
all know the packaging too well.
we all do. So bit of news that
A
Xbox
bit. Biggest news to come out in a
go for it.
long time.
Go for it.
No. I'm honestly gonna let you take over because honestly, I don't even know what this means. You and our nephews knew more about this than I ever did with Microsoft acquiring Activision, right?
Yes.
Like that's insane. Did you think that the courts were gonna let them go through with it? Like, did you think that
Yes.
it was gonna? Oh, you knew.
I I honestly was trying to figure out what the holdup was, and then people started talking about what the holdup is, and it actually does make sense. It's a massive company, but um this is where the hate mail goes back and forth, and you got to figure out what's what. I am a person that loves all systems. I don't care which system. I play my games based off what's on the system. If I want an incredible storyline that's engaging and keeps me going and focused on an incredible storyline, I go to PlayStation. If I want something that's on the go and I can just take it with me when I'm on trips and vacations, that's my Nintendo Switch. And if I want something where I'm not really having to think or concentrate, but just, killing, shooting, or whatever, doing things like that, I have the Xbox. So each one serves their own purpose. But when Xbox decided, hey, we're losing the game of doing what we do in our Xbox world because we don't have first person anything that's all that great except for a few titles like Halo and Gears and things of that nature. We need to build our repertoire up, and someone said, "Yes, do it. Whatever you need, practically unlimited budget, do it." And they did. They bought everything under the sun so that way in the next couple of years we're going to have almost every single month a AAA title coming from Xbox. It's a major impressive plan that's going to hopefully pay off for them in the end, but to sit there and do all of that and get Bethesda, and then you're like, oh my gosh, they got Bethesda, and then you got Starfield that's going to be coming out real soon. And then they said, you know what? We're not done yet. We're gonna buy Activision. That just you're like, no. Why does anyone need to buy Activision? Because
Yeah,
Activision is fine on their own. But you, I'm always curious why someone says yes to being sold and what that does. And I think in some cases, I think it puts you in a protection of being safe. And I'm like, I got to look at it from the perspective of what did you say to, besides, I think it was like $76 billion or whatever the number was.
hmm
What did you say to them to make them say, okay, let's do this? And clearly you offered them something. And if you
mm,
are a great employee, you make sure your employees are taken care of. If you're not
exactly.
a great employee, you're like, hey, all this money goes to me and y'all can figure that stuff out and people hire. But I saw something in Xbox years ago that I think I said to you, but not on any podcast or any show or anything. I said, look at who they're purchasing. Even though they can purchase whoever they want to, they're being strategic about how they're purchasing because they're going to start doing something that's never been done and build an entirely different kind of gaming library. They bought id Software through Bethesda, and everyone was like, "Oh, they bought Bethesda. They bought Bethesda." And I'm like, "That's great." But they wanted id Software, and I still feel that way. That was their plan. Id Software has created, Duke Nukem, not Duke Nukem. I think they did do that, but Doom. That's what I meant to say, and
Oh,
Quake.
okay.
So they're the people that did Quake, the ones that did that. And in my head, they came on stage years ago. Id Software said, "Hey, and they did all their speech about their games and stuff. And by the way, we're kind of working on this new streaming thing that we've been trying to figure out, and we think it's going to be a great addition to gaming everywhere. Xbox heard that. Microsoft Xbox heard that and said, purchase them. Because when they decide to put their heads down and create something that's never been done before, that's what
Yeah.
we're going to need. So, Xbox, I think, is going in a platform of we have great shooters, but they don't shoot as great as the games in Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a great shooter because how we can hold the gun, use the gun, feel the gun, and how it feels. Now you have a team of people on Activision that can go to all the other games that they're trying to make that suck at shooting the gun correctly and show them how to shoot it in the game correctly. Now you have that. Now all their games are going to have the same exact style of shooting. So no matter what you pick up, anybody can pick it up and be like, if you play Call of Duty, you can play this and you're not going to have an issue. And they're like, all right,
Mm.
now we need people to be online and we're having trouble with people being online and it doesn't work out that well. Well, there's id Software. id Software comes to your team and helps you do the online platform of what you're trying to do. Now you can have all your games be multiplayer without any issues because they have no problems building Quake and games like that and showing that platform. Cool. All right, now we bought such and such company that specializes in doing high-end graphics and long stories. We'll call them Bethesda. And they're like, okay, so now you take the Bethesda group and you put them with the other games that you have, so that way now you can create an incredible storyline, such as Fable that's going to be coming out. So now you do
Mm.
all these things to sit there and create something that causes your platform of every AAA to have the backup of something that's been tried and true. All right, we had this AAA coming out, it's a space shooter. We're gonna do blah 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 with that. Oh, cool. Well, we have Activision. Activision is gonna proofread all your stuff before we send this out and make sure that it shoots the proper way. Well, we know how to do guns and things like that. No, no, no. This is not even an option for you. We need to make sure that all this stuff comes out the exact same way. So when the people come in here and want to play it, it's good to go. I think they created a platform for that. And if they do this correctly, it does not matter about Xbox, the actual console. It'll be Xbox, the experience. They are trying to
Mm.
create something that hasn't been done, which is an experience. I want you to experience this on Xbox. Of course you can. You can purchase it because if you purchase it on Xbox or get it on Xbox, it's already free. You got the Game Pass. So all these
Mm.
games you're going to get for free. But if you decide to play them on another platform, we're going to charge you for that. And they're probably going to raise the prices on it too. You want to play, oh, you like Starfield over there? Well, you can play it for free on our system when you buy our system, but I don't want to buy your system. Okay, well then go ahead and get it on whatever system you want to. $75. $75 for that? I'll pay for that. And then it changes the game. Now you're
Mm.
buying the experience on every single platform and you'll always be thinking about Microsoft Xbox. They've completely changed what they were doing, created a whole new platform entirety of how to do things. But then you have the ones that get scared, such as Sony, Nintendo, and any other platform or system out there that's trying to compete, which they aren't. It's just really Sony and Nintendo.
Yeah.
They see it as a major threat because if they say, hey, you know what? We're not going to have Call of Duty on Sony anymore. Sony makes a ton of money, into the millions, could be even to the billions, off of what they do with Call of Duty. Now
Yeah.
they're going to lose that. So now Sony's going to
Mm.
have to get back with their team and sit down and say, did we ever have a great game that was a shooter that was comparable to Call of Duty? And someone's going to say, you remember that game SOCOM we used to do back in the day? And they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, SOCOM, what about that? Let's start talking about that. I guarantee you, SOCOM is going to come back in a way that has never been done before.
Oh
They're going to
yeah.
get the people. Sony, I still feel like have an issue with multiplayer, but the only one that's done it the best was SOCOM. I have never seen anything else on PlayStation that's compared to online multiplayer such as SOCOM. They're going to put millions, if they're smart enough, I would say at least 1 billion into rebuilding SOCOM using the platform that they learned from Call of Duty and creating their own version of a Call of Duty experience that needs to shatter the Call of Duty experience because no one's been able to do that yet. And if they're able to do that, they win, but they're not going to be able to do that anytime soon. So they're just going to concentrate on what they know best, putting out the storyline, the heavy driven games to actually keep us going. That's my
And,
spiel.
And no, and I actually have a couple questions because I don't really have a standpoint on this either way. Because well, my standpoint is I think it's incredible. Because there's been growing up throughout my teen and uh, early 20s, I would say Microsoft has always been the underdog. It's always been the console that's like a little bit behind the others because the others were always doing something new and innovative. And just when you think Microsoft is going to take the lead, um, uh, Nintendo is just like, look, now you can play games in the air, and it's just like they always are always doing something so innovative that changed. Even Nintendo didn't know that their gaming system would become so. I don't think they ever intended it to be as family friendly as it was. I think they just launched something, and next thing you know, women were buying it, kids were buying it, and they were just like, oh my god, we have this new demographic. And I don't know if there's something that they ever thought, but my one of my main questions to you: do you think that they had to go to court for this because of Sony, because of these other consoles that felt like this might have been too big of a merger?
All the above. It was Sony, Nintendo, but it was also the court saying this is a big major company that could cause you to monopolize the gaming industry, and you guys need to prove to us why you should have this. But in all honesty, they weren't doing anything illegal. There are still like big publishers out there like EA and some of the other ones that are out there that are just as popular and if not just as big, but nothing hits home like every year. Guess what's coming? Call of Duty. So I don't think there was any illegality to the whole situation. I'm not the expert on any of that. I'm actually watching YouTube videos and learning things myself of what's going on. But at the end of the day, their strategy is very different from everyone else's. They got that type of treatment for this particular company because of how massive it is. It's pretty much the equivalent if Sony says, okay, let's buy Xbox, or if Xbox says, let's buy Sony. That's going to be in the courtrooms because it's a major deal of a monopolization of a company. And so if Xbox bought Sony and bought Nintendo, then there would be some serious things that were happening because nobody would be able to compete in any way. And as long as you're not monopolizing, you're generally good.
Yeah.
But Activision makes a ton of money. I don't know. I think the only company that probably makes more than them would probably be Rockstar.
That's a
Rockstar
good one.
Games, like if Sony bought Rockstar Games, there's gonna be some situations that's gonna happen
Oh,
because you can
heck
say whatever you
yes.
want to about Call of Duty, but I know for a fact the difference between Call of Duty and a Rockstar game is Call of Duty every year goes from all right, it's $65 for this game, and then the very next year, 365 days later, that game is probably worth $1. And with
Mm,
Rockstar, it's literally like what Grand Theft Auto came out what in 2011, I think, maybe even
yeah, it
earlier,
had to have been. Yeah.
and people are still playing that game as if it came out last week. That's the
Yes.
difference. So if you
Yes.
have that
I don't know.
style,
I still don't know how they did that.
they did
How?
it because it works. If you really think about what Grand Theft Auto represents, it's literally you have a full-fledged game. No one's really playing that except for the people that are getting older. And that's the monopoly of people are like, well, you're not allowed to play that game, blah, 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 for whatever reason, because you're not old enough. Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, people my age, we got it when it first came out. We played it, we beat it, we enjoyed it ourselves. Now you have someone a year younger than me, and then they get a year older, and then they're like, okay, now I'm allowed to play it because I'm old enough. So now it sells all over again, and then the same thing keeps happening every year. Every year, the kids that have been dying to play this game get older every year, and then they're finally old enough to play the game. So some
Hmm.
people are still playing this game for the first time ever. And what they're doing is, all right, we have it on this particular, I think it was PlayStation 3. that
Yeah.
had it first, and then PlayStation 4, and then PlayStation 5, and all they did was just update the graphics and everything and kept it moving. And then you can literally keep having this game almost eternity because that's one aspect of it. Then the whole other level is free online multiplayer where you get with your friends and you're in the world of Grand Theft Autos. I know some people that just create and create and create inside of Grand Theft Auto and they just don't stop. And they're with their friends, they become podcasts, they start doing shows and everyone's coming to watch. All these things are happening off of just one game and that changes the whole entire foundation of it. But you don't have that with Call of Duty because Call of Duty is
Yeah.
guaranteed 365 days, 364 days after the day the game comes out, there's another one guaranteed. And you take the one that you had, you throw it behind you, and then you get the new one, you put it in, and you keep playing. Or for those digital people, you download it and delete the last one. It's just
Yep.
that's how it is. There's no updating in that sense. I think they have free updates as in maps and things that come out, but I don't know if you need to
Yeah.
pay for those at this point. I've been out of the Call of Duty world for a long time because
Same.
there's no
Same.
way I can win. Because there's no way that I can win, I've stopped. There's no point. I spawn, I die. I'm lucky if I get 2 head kills in a month. It's gotten to that point where there's like it's
Yep.
easy for everyone to pick up. Yeah, it's very easy to pick up and know how to shoot and stuff. But when you're playing with those people who've been playing this game for 15, 20 years, you don't have a chance. You don't. But at the same time, Call of Duty has something that I like, which is all right. You got Call of Duty, and it's going to do a Call of Duty game that's in the past. Then you got a Call of Duty game where we're gonna do a Call of Duty in the present. Then you got
Yep.
a Call of
Modern
Duty game where
Warfare.
let's do it in the future. So because you do that every year, the genre that you like the best is gonna come out every 3 years, guaranteed. And because you have that thing happening every 3 years, you're
Hmm.
guaranteed to get what you want if you hold on. And if we want to show this late for holding on that long gives you a guarantee of having a good game. So to get back to your original question, they knew it was a huge acquisition, a transaction of epic proportions. You're talking $76 billion, if that number's correct. I just know that I keep
Jesus.
hearing that number from somewhere, so I know it's from something. And if you're doing an acquisition of that magnitude, you're gonna have the courts coming in there to make sure everything's on the up and up. Because God forbid you're not doing something right, which they aren't doing. They're actually doing everything. They're dotting all their I's. And I mean, what's funny is that they have redacted documents that they're putting online, but the person that did it, they use that marker. And then if you just hold the paper up, you can still see the wording of what it was. So we've gotten more information that we've ever gotten from anything dealing with Sony,
Wow.
Xbox, Nintendo, all of them, because these redacted documents have come out. So in the end, it's going to be a telling story of how they're going to use Activision, but like I stated earlier, I think they're going to use it the way that I'm talking about. It's worth spending $76 billion to build an empire of games than it is to spend $76 billion and say, well, this system, this particular game is only on our platform. It serves them
Mm.
no purpose to have Call of Duty on just one platform because they're going to lose money by keeping it on one platform. So
Mm-hmm.
even though PlayStation's like, well, they're gonna monopolize the Call of Duty field, and even the people from Activision was like, we want to still keep it on every platform. If we do this deal, it's got to still be on every platform. Everyone's got to still be able to have access to it, and it makes sense because I think with the way they're doing the deal with Activision, Activision is still going to play a major role in itself of just producing the game and still getting money on their own from these games. So because even they stated that I don't know how much money we're going to make on the platform of Game Pass. So they still need to make their money, and they're only going to make that on the biggest system out there, which is Sony PlayStation. So
Exactly. And that's my question. Like, because that's the part where it gets a little confusing to me. Is because so they sold their company. Activision now belongs to Microsoft, and my biggest thing is and then Microsoft is like, okay, Call of Duty can be played on any platform, but how is Microsoft getting the big the bang for their buck, I guess I should say, because like if it's going to be on other platforms now, if it's sold on other platforms, does Microsoft get a cut of that $75? That oh they do. Okay. Ooh, then
Um,
that's
I'm trying to figure out how you could put it into basic terms of like maybe a family. Family business. The family business goes out and sells vacuums, and you being the son, you go out and sell the vacuums, and you're like, Dad, I sold 5 vacuums. Well, cool, because dad built the vacuums, he gets a percentage of it. You sold the vacuums, you get a percentage of it. So everybody makes money. Even you, as your regular job right now, you work and you get something from it, but ultimately you don't get the gist of it. You get some of it. So I
mm-hmm.
just don't know how that's going to apply to Activision in the sense of it. I think it's going to be more opposite, as in Activision makes the game, they get like 75% of it, and then Xbox gets 25%. But 25% of $1 billion industry is a ton of money
Mm-hmm.
guaranteed. But I
Yep.
think, like I said, that only works if you're putting it on other platforms. There is no reason for Activision. I think it may be like Activision will have Call of Duty on all platforms, but all our other IPs, games, and things that we're doing will only be on Xbox. That makes a lot of sense, and I
That
can,
makes a
be
lot of
fine with
sense.
that.
And I agree because I was saying to myself, I feel like the only that's the only game that Activision has where they can kind of, in my opinion, uh, what's the word? They can not argue, but they can haggle. They can haggle a little bit with that. I think that's their selling platform to be like, hey, we really want to be a part of Microsoft, but at the end of the day, we all know that the real reason you want us is because of Call of Duty. So let's make sure that this is on every. Okay, that makes sense to me because I was reading about it and I was just like, well, how does this make sense? Like, how is everyone getting what they want out of this if that's the case? And why? And I was reading a little bit about what Sony thought, but at the end of the day, if Sony and the other platforms are still getting Call of Duty, then that would give them a reason not to complain as hard. Because I'm just like, why isn't Sony out here with picketing and with fences and all of the and signs and all this other type of stuff? But if they're still getting, the game, then I guess they shouldn't be complaining too hard. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I was reading about this, and you were the one that was telling me about this firsthand a couple shows ago, and then I was at work today, and then the announcement dropped, and I was like, "Yo, they actually did it!" Like I've been out of the Xbox game for a minute now, so I it's really nice to see them continue to do big things because back in the whole PlayStation or Microsoft, I really wasn't a part of the war of it all, but I just always had Xbox. It was just easier. I enjoyed it a lot more. So to be out of it and see that they're making these big moves that honestly I wish they had it done back then when I was such an avid gamer with Microsoft. But to know that they're doing it now, I think that this is a really great look for them. So are you going to be playing a lot more Xbox in the future, or are you still going to be sticking with Sony? It's still going to be a little bit of everything for you.
It's always going to be a little bit of everything because I play based on my mood. Right now, I have Legend of Zelda, the new one that came out, and I'm trying to get more engaged into it. But I don't have the time. I want to talk more about what I enjoy doing than actually doing what I enjoy, which has been a big shift for me because getting the time to get into Zelda, it takes massive amount of hours because before when I was younger, I could be in the game for 6 or 8 hours and like accomplish some things. But now I'm turning it on and playing for 30 minutes. You can't do much in 30 minutes on Zelda. I will literally build something and then be like, all right, time to go to bed. I didn't even get to use it yet. So that's a change that I see happening in the industry of me being older and permanent job as opposed to something in the future. Maybe I'll do if I'm able to do this full time, I can change it. But for me right now, it doesn't change anything because what I play on Activision isn't that much. And like I said, it would be Call of Duty. But if Call of Duty is going to be free on Game Pass, I'm more likely to pick it up and play it. It's just I am because Game Pass is how I play almost. Actually, yeah, every game that I play on Xbox is a Game Pass game. That's how I like to
Mm,
play it. It's so much easier. I have a massive library to choose from, and I'm good to go. Every game that I play on PlayStation 5 is something that I purchase in its entirety. God of War, The Last of Us, um, games like that I play. It's so much easier to do that way. And the same thing on Nintendo Switch. Every game that I play on Nintendo Switch is a mashup of between purchasing a game such as Legend of Zelda and playing the old classic games that they have on there. So it's a toss up between those two. But the majority of my money goes to paying for Sony games and Nintendo games. My Game Pass for Xbox is what keeps me going on the Xbox. If the Xbox got rid of that, which they never would, but if they did, I don't know if I would still be playing an Xbox at all anymore. Because
Mm.
that deal is just amazing. Some days it feels like it's too good to be true because there's so many games. I'm like, what am I gonna play? I can't figure out what I want to play. So if my life has more time in it, then I definitely want to dedicate more. But like I said, that's kind of where I stand right now. But I'm happy for Activision. I'm happy for Xbox. I'm actually even happy for PlayStation. I know for them it doesn't feel like it's a good thing because PlayStation
Mm.
had contracts with Activision of, hey, you purchase this on PlayStation, you get this extra map, you get this extra piece of clothing, you get
Mm.
this extra this, and this. That's going to
Yeah,
go away and cost them a ton of money into the
yeah.
millions, like I said. Um, but I also feel this is going to activate something into Sony to cause them to actually create either a Navy SEAL game, SOCOM, their own military shooter, and really crack down on figuring out the best way to bring multiplayer in a way that's never been done. Because, like I said, Sony is not the king of multiplayer. Xbox is. PC is because PC just beats everything. But when you're talking about consoles, when it comes to that, Xbox has got the bag on being able to handle multiplayer, except for Call of Duty. Call of Duty's on all the platforms. So Sony was like, yeah, we have multiplayer on this game and that game, but we got Call of Duty as well, so we're good. We don't have to worry about trying to figure out our own little game. Now they don't have that anymore. So now it's going to be that little fire up under their behinds to be like, okay, we don't have it the way we want it. Let's create something that is the Call of Duty killer. And if they can
Mm.
work their behinds and spend the millions, and like I said, $1 billion on creating the Call of Duty killer, whether it be bringing SOCOM back, um, there's another game that they had that was exclusive to them that I actually really enjoyed, but I can't think of the name right now because they're the ones that did Zero. Is it Zero Dawn? Yeah, Horizon
That's
Zero
how.
Dawn.
All right.
They
Yeah.
they stopped making their other game, which was a multiplayer game, which was a really great game. They stopped making that one to concentrate on Horizon Zero Dawn, which is a great game, but we're not getting that multiplayer thing anymore. So,
That makes
mm.
sense.
Yes, we're gonna end the show now because, good lord, that was a big yawn. So once again, I want to thank Javis for taking the time to come out and do this. We're gonna try and bring you guys more shows, but our schedule is weird at times. So as you can
Crazy.
see, I'm literally going to bed after this, but I wanted to make sure we did something and talked about it. So y'all stay
Absolutely.
safe out there. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time we do a show. Take care.